Let's take a step-by-step look at the book production process, from the production of the paper to the printing of the text on the pages. Inside the book factory, the Harry Potter books you have at home are also created. Harry Potter books are the best-selling fantasy book series of all time, and the best-selling book series overall, having sold over 600 million books worldwide. There are over 1 million words in the Harry Potter book series. First, of course, the paper must be created. The next step is to cut the paper and print the pages with the text of the book. The pages are joined together, and the book binding is added. The result is then a finished Harry Potter book, for example, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. So first we'll look inside the wood-to-paper process and the making of the first pages of the book. Paper making actually involves various processes to turn that wood log into our everyday paper products. However, there are 3 key steps to the process of paper making: pulping, paper making, finishing. To kickstart the pulping process, the logs are debarked. The bark has to be stripped from the log since it cannot be used in paper making. The water used is filtered on the spot and reused for other logs, reducing the amount of water wastage. Together with other byproducts of the manufacturing process, they are used to generate electricity to power up the mills in nearby towns. The debarked logs are then chipped into small pieces before undergoing a process called chemical pulping. This process breaks down the chemical called lignin, and the result is pulp. Pulp is like a thicker, less refined version of paper. After being meshed, screened, and dried, the pulp can be used to make high-volume commodity printing products like newsprint and magazine paper. But to be turned into paper, the pulp needs a little bit more work. The pulp is pumped into a large paper-making machine, which stretches almost 4 times the length of an Olympic-sized swimming pool and stands as high as a 3-story building. Starting at the first section, called the head box, the pulp mass is squirted through a horizontal slit over a moving wire meshed to remove excess water. Here, the fibers begin to spread out and take the form of a thin sheet, thus giving this part of the process its name, sheet formation. Moving at almost 90 kilometers an hour, the thin mats are fed into the press section, where up to 50% of the water content is squeezed out. Up to 90% of water in this entire manufacturing process is also recycled. Things then start heating up as the sheets are dried at above 100 degrees Celsius over a series of cast iron cylinders. But the journey for premium quality paper doesn't end there. A film of chemicals is applied to the surface of the dried paper to improve the properties of the paper before being wound onto 8.5-meter wide jumbo reels. But of course, most of printers can't print on paper of those dimensions, so the jumbo reels have to be cut up into smaller pieces. Rolls of paper weigh about 800 pounds each. A roll of paper sits waiting to be spliced and spooled into the press. These giant rolls of paper have been lined up for a day of printing. The press itself is a Goliath. It is 26 feet wide and 127 feet long and weighs about 200,000 pounds. Interesting information about paper that you may not have known. To produce a ton of paper, we need about 115,000 liters of water. Making paper from waste paper saves around 85% of water used in normal paper production, and reduce water pollution by 92%. A ton of recycled paper makes it possible to save approximately 0.4 hectares of forest. The land is being deforested at a rate of 6.5 million hectares per year. We need to cut 17 large trees to produce a ton of paper. The average family uses 6 trees worth of paper each year. North Americans and Europeans use more than 200 kilos of paper each per year. Recycling paper required 30% of the electrical energy and 70% of the water that would normally be needed to produce it from wood. 45% of all printouts and photocopies end up in the rubbish bin before the end of the day. Paper can be recycled up to 11 times in different types of cardboard. The amount of junk mail delivered every year is the equivalent of 100 million trees. global loss of tropical forests contributed about 4.8 billion tons of carbon dioxide per year. Paper production is the third most energy-intensive of all manufacturing industries, using over 12% of all energy in the industrial sector. A high quantity of water consumed in the pulp and paper industry is used for processing. Within the manufacturing area, the paper and pulp industry is the fourth largest emitter of greenhouse gases. Paper represents one of the biggest components of solid waste in landfills, with about 16% of solid waste. When paper decomposes in a landfill, it releases methane, a greenhouse gas far more strong than carbon dioxide. The binding process uses a tremendous amount of glue. This conveyor belt carries bound books away from the binder. If one leg of the process goes down, this conveyor automatically sends all the books to the other side, allowing the process to continue while repairs are made. The book is printed 32 pages at a time, and every few hours a worker must swap out the plates so the next 32 pages can be printed. This factory runs 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and prints millions of books each week. Both the humidity and the temperature of the plant are important. The press area is kept around 70 degrees, and to keep the air moist, a fan blows a constant fine mist of water. About 800 different colors are stored in the ink room. Most covers are printed using black, cyan, magenta, and yellow ink, but 2 additional colors were used to print this one, green and a special blue. The machine above is loaded with 8,000 sheets of paper at a time, which are then fed through the press. Each section of the machine contains a separate tank of ink, one for each color. After the books are bound and glued, they head to a machine called the backer, which readies the book for the cardboard cover to be attached. Covers are separated and stacked before going into the jacket wrapper machine. For many fans, it's an actual world that they can escape to when reading or watching. There is so much going on in the Harry Potter world, actually, that it can be hard to keep track of all the little details. In fact, there are lots of fun trivia questions and facts about Harry Potter and the wizarding world that even some of the biggest fans aren't aware of. Rowling credits the Harry Potter books to her mother's death, saying the books have a major death theme in them because she started writing them 6 months before her mother died.